The scent a man remembers years later is almost never the loudest one in the room. 10 fragrances show up, again and again, on elegant women past 50. And the 10th is the one nobody expects, because it's the quietest scent on this entire list, the kind you might have walked straight past in a department store without a second thought. Here's the first. You've almost certainly smelled it on someone before you ever owned a bottle of it yourself.
Chanel 1.5.
Not simply a perfume. The original blueprint every fragrance on this list is quietly measured against, whether the woman wearing them realizes it or not. Launched in 1921, built on aldehydes that gave it a sparkling, almost abstract quality nobody had smelled before. Something that didn't try to smell like a single flower, but like an idea of elegance itself. A century later, it still doesn't read as dated so much as foundational. The scent every other classic on this list is quietly compared to, whether it knows it or not. It isn't the boldest thing you could wear. That's precisely the point. A scent doesn't need to shout to be remembered for 100 years. If you're drawn to it, wear it sparingly, 1 or 2 sprays at the pulse points, never full body mist. Aldehydic florals like this one bloom slowly over the first 20 minutes, so the temptation to reapply too soon usually only overwhelms what was meant to unfold gently. Guerlain Shalimar, vanilla, iris, and amber, wrapped in something warm and faintly smoky, the kind of scent that belongs to candlelight rather than daylight, to a velvet dress rather than a cardigan. Where Chanel No. 5 is elegance, Shalimar is allure, less about turning heads and more about the quiet confidence of a woman who already knows exactly who she is and isn't especially interested in explaining herself to the room. Some women save it for evenings out. Others wear it as their everyday signature, and somehow it never feels like too much, which tells you something about how well this particular scent was built. If evening only feels safer to start, try it on the inside of your wrist rather than your neck at first. You'll catch the warmth of it every time you lift a glass, without filling an entire room the first time you wear it. If you're enjoying advice that respects your age instead of fighting it, this is exactly what we share here every week. Consider subscribing. And here's something worth saying plainly. None of this is about masking who you are. The right fragrance was never meant to announce you. It was meant to reveal you a little to the people paying attention.
Dior J'adore.
Ylang ylang, rose and jasmine, golden and luminous. The kind of scent that feels like sunlight bottled rather than sprayed, warm without ever tipping into heavy. Think of it as a hostess fragrance. The scent you wear when you want a room to feel welcomed the moment you walk into it, whether that room is a dinner party you're throwing or simply a Tuesday you've decided to meet with a little more warmth than usual. It's elegant without asking for permission to be elegant, which is rarer than it sounds. Layer it with a matching body lotion if you own one. J'adore is one of the few fragrances on this list where the layered version genuinely lasts noticeably longer than the spray alone. YSL Opium. When it launched in 1977, it was considered genuinely scandalous. The name, the advertising, the fragrance itself all challenging what a woman's perfume was supposed to be in an era that expected something far more polite. Nearly 50 years later, mandarin and carnation over sandalwood and vanilla still command a room the moment you walk into it. This isn't a scent you spray and forget about by lunchtime. It's a scent that announces you've arrived, deliberately on your own terms, the same way it did the year it first scandalized everyone wearing something quieter. Quick honest question. Is one of these first for already your signature? Tell me which one in the comments. A tip if you're new to it, apply it to clothing rather than skin alone. Spice-forward orientals like this one tend to hold their shape longer on fabric than they do on warm skin, where the top notes can shift faster than you'd expect. YSL Black Opium. The modern cousin to the original, coffee, vanilla, and orange blossom, closer to gourmand than floral, and unmistakably contemporary rather than nostalgic. This is proof that elegance doesn't require staying frozen in one decade. A woman who wears Black Opium isn't chasing youth, and she isn't trying to smell like someone 20 years younger. She's simply proving that a house built on nearly 50 years of history can still surprise you, the same way she can. It wears especially well in cooler months, when the coffee and vanilla notes read as warming rather than heavy, worth saving for autumn and winter if your collection leans lighter the rest of the year.
Giorgio Armani Sì.
Blackcurrant, rose, and vanilla, blended into something smooth rather than sharp, modern in feel, but with the same timeless bones as everything else on this list. Think of it as a quiet statement, confident, effortless, never shouting for attention, the fragrance equivalent of a beautifully tailored blazer rather than a bold print dress. You notice the woman first. The scent only confirms what you'd already sensed about her. It works equally well applied straight after a shower. While skin is still slightly damp, the warmth helps the rose and vanilla settle in rather than sitting on the surface. The next one might be the most nostalgic scent on this entire list, and that's exactly its strength. Estée Lauder Beautiful. A full, rich floral bouquet that leans warm rather than sharp, leaving a trail that reads as familiar in the best possible way. Nostalgic without ever feeling like it's stuck in the past. For a lot of women, this is the scent that quietly ends up on a daughter's wrist too, years later, borrowed from a bathroom shelf and never quite given back. That's not an accident. Some fragrances are simply built to be remembered across a generation, not just a single evening, and this is one of them. Which of these 6 already lives on your vanity? Tell me the name in the comments. I read every single one, and it genuinely tells me what to feature next.
Acqua di Parma, Colonia.
Citrus and aromatic green notes, unisex in the truest sense, the same bottle a sophisticated man might reach for, worn instead by a woman who wants ease rather than sweetness. This is the fragrance equivalent of bare legs and a clean white shirt. Effortless, a little unexpected, and precisely the kind of quiet confidence that reads as more elegant than anything trying too hard to be noticed. It doesn't ask the room to pay attention. It simply assumes, correctly, that you already have. It's especially forgiving in warm weather, when heavier orientals can feel like too much. Keep a travel bottle for exactly those days when you want to feel put together, without feeling wrapped up.
Khamrah.
The newest name on this list, and the one most likely to surprise you, cinnamon, dates, and vanilla, built for genuine staying power rather than a fleeting first impression. This is the scent for the night you actually want to be remembered, the kind of trail that's still there hours later, from the valet stand to the table and long after you've left the room. It proves elegance and boldness were never actually opposites. Sometimes the most sophisticated choice is simply the one confident enough to last. One spray at the base of the throat before you leave the house is usually enough. This one has enough natural staying power that more than that can tip into overwhelming rather than memorable. If 9 bold, unforgettable fragrances can do all of this, wait until you hear what the 10th one actually is, because it isn't bold at all. The 10th fragrance on this list is the one nobody expects, because it's the quietest scent of the entire 10, and possibly the one you've walked past in a shop without a second glance. Anise. White florals, softly powdery. The kind of scent that doesn't so much enter a room as simply linger in it after you've already left, the way a good memory does. Here's why this one outlasts nearly everything Lauder on this list. Memorability was never really about intensity. It's about consistency. The same quiet signature, worn the same way for years, until it becomes inseparable from the woman wearing it rather than just something she happened to spray on that day. A man doesn't remember the perfume that overwhelmed a room for 30 seconds. He remembers the one that was simply, quietly, always there, on a coat left behind, a letter, a hug goodbye, years after the room itself is forgotten, and long after he could tell you what either of you were even wearing that day. You were never wrong to want to be unforgettable. You'd simply been told, for years, that unforgettable had to be loud. Here's what all 10 of these actually share, underneath the notes and the names. None of them are chasing a trend, and none of them are trying to smell 20 years younger than the woman wearing them. Every single one was built to last for decades, not just a single fashion cycle. They're chosen once, worn consistently, and given the years it actually takes for a scent to become a signature rather than just a bottle on a shelf, gathering dust behind a dozen others tried once and forgotten. That's really the whole secret hiding inside this entire list. It was never about finding the boldest fragrance in the store. It was about finding the one worth wearing long enough that someone else starts to remember you by it. The one that becomes so thoroughly yours that a stranger could describe you accurately just by describing the way a room smells after you've left it. None of this requires owning all 10. Most elegant women settle on 2 or 3 across a lifetime. One for daylight, one for evening, and perhaps one they save only for the nights that actually matter. Tell me, which of these 10 is already your signature, and which one are you trying next? I'll be reading every answer, and I might feature a few of them in the next video. Give this a like if it gave you even one thing you didn't know a few minutes ago. I'll see you in the next one.